What's up, everybody? Ebrahim Mbokazi over here. How is everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing great out there. Welcome to another episode, which is going to be such an awesome episode for today. We've got the legendary Grey Jabesi in the house. But before we get started, Grey, I'm just going to let you do a small introduction because, I know you have a lot of titles on your belt. So what I want from you is, can you just give us some content, basically? I just want to start off with some basic content on your storyline as to how you actually started everything. I just want a brief storyline about yourself as how you actually got started. For people to actually understand where you are, I want them to actually understand where you actually started from. So just a small context story about your life.
So my name is Grey Jabesi, like you said, and I'm an entrepreneur. I'm the founder of Khodo Bitcoin app, but also Crypto University, which is the #1 cryptocurrency training platform for traders and investors in the world. And look, my story is that I was just like another average guy. I was working, trying to figure things out. No rich parents, no degree, never gone to college at all. I was just trying to figure it out, I worked in all kinds of jobs in people's gardens, in laundromats and stuff like that. And then I came across Bitcoin, and that was the point where my life changed. When I came across cryptocurrency. So now I build businesses within that cryptocurrency space, and I also like to teach other people about it. And I have a YouTube channel, Hardcore Crypto, as a lot of you can see here. You can find it on YouTube, and it has a lot of incredible cryptocurrency content. And my podcast is here, Survival Skills Podcast, which is incredible for those of you who are willing to learn and transform your life from by simply listening to other people's stories and what they have learned.
That's great. One thing that I've also noticed about you is just that you are not just only focused on just building the cryptocurrency market. You are also involved in other businesses. For instance, such as that you also have a media marketing company. So I just want to, before we actually get into the whole crypto space, I know that it's going to take up a whole lot of time because I know it's the most exciting topic of this whole interview. But before we actually get there, I just want to touch base on the marketing perspective on your marketing company. I want to know how do you actually are able to actually maintain your marketing company and your media company in such times like this, whereby technology is changing at a very vast level, and a lot of businesses at this moment are starting to focus more onto online rather than going onto TV and to radio. So at this moment, how would you say your business is thriving at this moment in the market of today?
Yeah, so the difference between us and the others out there is that the things that we do are things that we actually use, right? So we're not just telling people that, hey, we have to do marketing, you have to do online marketing, and do all these other things. We do all without any client. We're still able to do the work. So my marketing company, my digital marketing company, provides services to my other business, right? To all my other businesses. So for all the needs that are happening there, we challenge the digital marketing side to make things work. So the lesson that we learned from working on our own products and our own businesses, it's simply things that we just now use to implement on other people. So it's easier to be on top of the game like that because you're forced directly to do it, other than just taking a client's project and say, okay, this is what they need. How do we figure it out? We directly the need to be able to figure things out. So we figure out hard things and then we bring it out to our clients as well.
That's great. Another thing that I also want to touch base on marketing. Do you feel like businesses as businesses need to take their marketing in-house, or they need to actually outsource their marketing? How would you actually advise a business to handle their marketing?
You know what? That's a very good question. So it depends, right, on what kind of business. If you're right now, I've seen people who are running multi-million businesses on their own, one person. right?
Yeah.
And it's possible because, I mean, I learned that the hard way that, you know, you can actually run a big show, big money with on your own or with a smaller team. So if that's the case and that's what you want to do, if you want more freedom and flexibility and results, you're actually better off just outsourcing it completely, right?
Yeah.
If it makes sense, especially if you have so you have products that are, you know, very obvious. You have good price points, and you know that if I take out X amount of percentages out of this product to marketing, say you have a $10 product, right? But it's costing you about $3 to make. You have a profit of $7, and if you have to lose $2 and throw it into marketing to sell a $10 product, you end up with $5. I think it's still a good call. If you think you want to grow your team and to have some kind of a traditional business, and then maybe you don't have too much margin you can play with in terms of marketing, then maybe you need an in-house one to save money, because it's always cheaper in the long term to have an in-house marketing team than to outsource it completely. But you're not going to get the best guy. The best guys, they want to work for themselves, and then those are the consultants and the freelancers, right? So if you are committing to having a full-time team for that in-house, it means that you need to be committed to training your people, which is a lot of work, and you can be running at a loss for a few months while the people are trying to get themselves on top of it. It also means you need to invest in training for your staff. So you need to pay for some courses, access to some courses, and you make sure that anybody who comes in learn that. But it's also a risk at the same time, because you could spend 6 months on someone and they don't work, you know, they don't get it, and they do it again. So as whether you're a CEO or a manager or whoever is running the business or the entrepreneur, you need to be careful with this kind of decisions.
I really like what you said of it. They're having a system in place, because one thing that I've noticed, there are some small businesses, like eventually they start doing their own marketing, but what normally kills them is that they do not implement a system whereby even if that person who's working in the marketing in that marketing team, let's just say for instance they leave, another person comes into that space, and then eventually the system changes, because why? The CEO of the or the owner of the company does not implement a system whereby each and every person who comes into the business learns the system of how they do things and stuff like that. So I do feel like a lot of businesses lack that system in place of, okay, this is the marketing team, this is the system we follow throughout. Whoever comes in the business will follow the same system. So I do feel that that's really, really important for businesses to actually start looking into creating their own system, basically, when it comes to marketing, and having their own team, which is also a great amount of value. I also wanted to touch on the podcast. Like right now, podcast in South Africa is not something that's of a high level at this moment, but when it comes to, for your instance, like your America, your UK and stuff like that, in other well-developed countries, podcasts are really popping up. And eventually in South Africa, it will pop up, because audio is one of the best consumer friendly contents out there. So I just want to know basically about your podcast channel. What is your podcast channel focused on?
Okay, so speaking of podcasts, actually, you know, in South Africa, it's catching up really quickly. There, you know, I'm sure you know McG podcast with McG.
Yes.
He has done an incredible job of getting it right, how it's supposed to be done. You know, so it is catching up really quickly. Mine is really all about learning. You know, I think that for anyone, for myself at least, the way I started the podcast was that for me to go to that next level, I needed the game. I needed the keys, the secrets, the lessons from the great people that I respect out there. And it's not easy to just, you know, a lot of people that are doing well are busy, right? It's not easy to convince them to go for coffee with you and ask them a couple of questions or even mentor you. But then I figured that if I create a platform where I can invite them to discuss things like a podcast, they'll be more likely, you know, to do it. So I ended up starting the podcast, and I started reaching out to people, and I was so amazed by what kind of people I managed to bring in, you know, from billionaires heads of, CEOs of banks and different sort of companies. Even some politicians have been on the podcast before. CEOs and tech enthusiasts and so on and so forth. So it's really all about learning from other people's stories. They say experience is the best teacher, but smart people learn from other people's mistakes. So
True.
I believe that if you learn from other people's story, you learn faster and smarter, because you don't have to live a million lives to learn a million lessons, right? If other people live the life for you, and then they have something you can learn from it, you simply just learn from it. So my podcast, the Survival Skills Podcast, it's all about finding survival skills for the 21st century, because we're living in a completely new age. A lot of people are confused, and we're trying to find the tools to navigate and prosper within this new environment or new economy that we're in.
Also on the podcast, like I do see like you have like a whole lot of awesome guests. Like you have interviewed like the top dogs within the business industry. I want to know which was one of your, okay, I won't say one because there's a lot of podcasts over here. Which would you say was your top 3 podcasts that you actually did, and you feel that podcast really brought a great amount of value to people out there?
Man, it's hard to choose. I won't lie to you. It's not easy. But I think one of my favorites could be the one I did with Ed Milet. That was incredible. Yeah, the one I did with Ed Milet was very powerful. I think a lot of people felt that. I always get messages from people when I post a new podcast, like, "Yo, and that was incredible. I learned a lot." But the one I did with Ed, the reaction was just too crazy from people around the world. Like, the title of the episode is called it's called "Don't Die in Your 20s." Do not die in your 20s. That was the title of the podcast. And Ed Milet is a big multi-millionaire guy from the US. Has done a lot of incredible things as well. So
yes.
He has a lot of energy, and he shares a lot of stories from his life that were very, very impactful to me, at least.
That's great. Okay, moving on, let's jump onto Crypto University. I know you are very big on crypto. Matter of fact, I think you are the biggest person in South Africa at this moment, well, in Africa, that's really pumping the crypto education within the education space. Like, you are really putting in the work out there. So could you just give us a brief explanation about the whole concept of Crypto University, and how did you actually think about it and come up with this whole concept? Because I know everything started off with your YouTube channel, and then obviously you took it to Crypto University and you built your own course. So I just want to know your thoughts on what actually inspired you to actually put out a course out there.
Okay, so it was really so when I started making the videos, and then people were asking me questions, it became a little too much, because when I was making the YouTube channel, I didn't really think of it much at all. I was like, I'm just sharing my ideas and documenting my journey in crypto, and what's going on. It was really just for me, like a small personal project. I never thought of it seriously. I didn't even believe that people would watch the videos. But I started asking questions daily. Then my Facebook was getting a lot of more requests, and then people asking questions. How about this? How do I do this? And I was very generous. I was answering a lot of questions. I was trying my best. And it reached a point where it was kind of an overflow moment where I could not keep up. I could not do my job and also respond to everyone. So I was like, okay, I should just create a platform. And just really, I know the questions that people like to ask. I should just create a platform where I just really make the videos step-by-step guide for beginner to advanced, where they can go there, learn everything there is, and then they get started instead of them asking me all the time. So I created a website quickly myself, launched it out, went there, and boom, saw a big traction. People were really going crazy for it, right? And then I realized, it's actually a serious thing. I should actually be serious about it and invest more time. Then I hired a team. I invested a lot of time myself now creating more content because I trade and invest. So I thought that people just wanted the basic stuff, to just really buy some Bitcoin. Then I realized there are people that were interested in trading as well. So I created a trading course from the bottom to the top for everyone from beginners to advanced. And then a lot of people also from like banks and venture capitalists and private equity, they were interested to get into crypto from an investment perspective. So I had now to create another course simply for investors, right? So I created another course for investors. And then from there, we just started building it because crypto is an ever-changing market. You need to be on top of the game. So every week we try to add more content to Crypto University. We now have partners. Some of the big exchanges and companies in crypto are our partners right now, and so on and so forth. So now we even doubling up on that, we're adding some development courses into Crypto University, because I think that as much as people are learning about the investing and the trading, I think a little bit of development knowledge also helps, right?
True.
So we added Solidity now for beginners, where people can learn the basics of how to code or with Solidity on the Ethereum blockchain. And I just want to make Crypto University, really the vision is to make it the one-stop shop for everything blockchain for people that are really committed to learning.
Beautiful.
Because learning doesn't stop. So every new thing that could come, I think it's something that we want to make sure that we have friends hand information, and then people are always having the opportunity to learn more and more.
That's well said. I also, one thing that I want to know, because right now with the whole cryptocurrency space and the whole Bitcoin space in South Africa, there's a whole lot of controversy that's actually going on, and a whole lot of scams, and a lot of people lack a lot of knowledge at this moment in cryptocurrency, even though like it is growing, but a lot of people are still getting into it. But the way they're stepping into this whole industry of cryptocurrency, they're getting the wrong information and they're stepping into the wrong side of this whole space. So I just want to know your thoughts about the ecosystem of the cryptocurrency within South Africa. What do you think about it, and what do you think that we can do to actually improve the psychological mindset of people within the whole cryptocurrency space, and for those people who actually are still getting into the cryptocurrency space in South Africa?
So, because of how our system is designed at a worldwide scale, people have never really had a chance or an opportunity or a challenge to actively invest. So we're not really trained to be investors at all. We heard of the concept of investing,
yes,
but have we ever taken money ourselves and invested into something? No, we just thought to work and then we get paid a salary. That's how we know to make money, right? So the cryptocurrency now came with this thing where it gives you the power to become an investor yourself. Because the banks invest in bonds, they invest in this and complicated products that individuals do not have direct access to. They're pretty much sort of exclusive in a way. So crypto is quite inclusive. Anyone can invest in anything. Incredible opportunity. But then because people have never invested before, they lack that analytical mindset of accessing investments, but also asking real questions, or at least having very quantifiable expectations of what can happen. So someone will tell you that there's a platform you can put 10,000 rand in, and then daily you'll be getting 1,000 to 2,000. Someone would actually believe that, especially if they have never really invested. They just know that Warren Buffett, all the rich guys, they make money through investing. So it must mean that, investing is the way to go, and then there's just easy way when it comes. Investing can give you easy money, right? Because they don't really know what really constitutes investing and how the money is made, right? So I think that's the challenge that we have. So it's just that cryptocurrency is giving a direct access to markets for investing, for the in a politically correct well, way to say this would be an accredited investor who does not know anything about investing. So that's the challenge that we have. So I don't think it's a cryptocurrency thing per se, because all these scams that also exist outside of cryptocurrency, within the digital marketing or network marketing and stuff like that. But I think for anyone listening to this, I think, you cannot jump if you don't know. I don't know how to swim at the moment, but I cannot jump in the middle of the ocean and just expect that I'll get it right. That is irresponsible. That's exactly what people are doing. And nobody wants to learn, because we think that after you're done with high school or university, a lot of people stop learning from there, right? But the game is, if you really want to be on top of everything, you want to win as an investor or a trader or whatever in everything, especially crypto, you need to take some time to learn. You cannot shortcut that. You're not going to win without it, right?
True. That's so true.
So you need some time. Invest some time in learning. Get a course. You can go to Udemy. You can go to there's a lot of platforms out there with courses, Skillshare, or you can go on Crypto University. If crypto is specifically what you want to learn, you can go to cryptouniversity.co.za. You grab a course based on what you want to learn, and you invest your time in that to learn, right? There's a big opportunity here. This is a market of money, right? I mean, it changed my life for once, so I know that for a fact, that it's really a real thing. But then, people would spend 4 years at a university and pay hundreds of thousands of rands in debt, right? To millions, learning things that now cannot even give them something substantial. They don't know how to make any money. They have really no tangible skill. Nobody wants to hire them, but they don't want to take $100 and invest in themselves, which is $1,600, and grab a course, sit down for a week or two, and understand certain things that can actually make them money almost in the immediate moment, from now on long term. So I just think it's a bad allocation of value and capital in how people are understanding things, but we hope that it changes. So we cannot expect everybody to get this, but if you're listening to this, I think you need to challenge yourself and do the things the right way. Invest some time, invest in yourself first, learn the game, and then play the game.
Yes, and one thing that you said right now is really important, and I think it's one thing a lot of people, I would say, is that when you talk about investing, the first thing that normally comes into mind is that money. They want to invest money, but they do not see the other side of investment, which is knowledge. They always want to jump into it. When you tell a person, okay, how about to invest in this? The first thing that comes to mind, like, shit, I don't have the money for this. But they lack the knowledge to actually go out there, seek out the knowledge, and actually obtain the knowledge. Because once you actually have the knowledge, when you start putting your money at risk, you know that, okay, I'm putting so much money, so that means my risk is much more lower than rather me going into the field without understanding anything, knowing very well that you're taking a big risk and you're going to lose your money. So knowledge is a very, very important thing that I think a lot of people should invest in, and just keep on learning. So another thing that I really want to touch base is, how do you feel that or how do you see blockchain technology actually changing the world in the next 5 to 10 years time? Even though I know like 5 to 10 years time is very close, and there could be a small difference within the blockchain technology, but within the next 20 to 50 years time, I know it's something that's really going to be big. So where do you actually see blockchain technology going, and how do you see it changing people's life in the future?
I think we have a lot of challenges in a lot of ways. I mean, in a lot of parts of our society, in a way that we just don't have the. I mean, it's funny that some of the problems can be solved with technology, but then we just don't implement it. And people are starting to wake up to this. You can see in the United States right now, they're having issues with the vote fraud and whatever, whether it's true or not. It's possible that it can be true, right? So why do we have those kind of issues in 2020, right? And then, people will start realizing that to eliminate fraud or corruption, it's not a matter of telling people not to do fraud or to be corrupt. It's about building systems that do not allow them to be fraudulent or corrupt, right? So I think people are now going to start relying more and more on systems, and blockchain provides a very, very good platform for that. In order to, you can provide a transparent and sort of an immutable way of storing data, and also enforcing rules. Because when you talk about corruption and all these are things, what you're talking about actually is a systematic flow that you can write rules, but someone can override them and act against the rules, but then still act in their own favor and win, right? So if you want to design systems that are sort of fraudulent resistant, if there's such a thing, is that you want to have systems that are transparent and that are designed, the incentive model is a little bit better than what we have now. So I think blockchain provides that for us. So we'll see a lot of voting happening on the blockchain. A lot of digital identity will be happening on the blockchain. A lot of processes will be automated and run on the blockchain systems. It's going to take a little bit of time, but I think that's where the world is going. And the tokens will also play a big role. And we're also going to see a lot of currencies. I don't think the whole thing of having the dollar and a couple other currencies is going to be over. There will be, just as much as there are payment options now, so many of them. You have PayPal, you have cheaper cash, you have this, you have that, right? You have PayFast. You're also just going to have some small multiple currencies, and then people will be able to switch to different currencies based on what they want to do, whatever activity that they want to perform. And then you have real estate as well. I think a lot of ownership will jump into, people will be using the token model to own things, digitize real estate, digitize art, and then be able to swap tokens around.
Yeah, like you just mentioned a very important thing right now that I just forgotten. Coming back to real estate and blockchain technology, I've been seeing a couple of projects that are coming up with these real estate blockchain technology stuff, whereby they offer tokens and you can actually invest with those tokens in those real estate businesses. I've been looking at some overseas. I think in Korea, if I'm not mistaken. There's one that I was following. I think it's approximately 2 years now, and they really growing, and like it's something that I've just got much more intrigued in, the blockchain real estate industry. Like it's really, really awesome. I'm really loving it at this moment, because right now I think I'm paying more attention to projects that are similar to that project. Like it's really, really going crazy out there with the blockchain technology and real estate. Another thing, could you just share a little bit concept on the financial industry and the banking? How do you see blockchain actually crashing the banking industry, or what would you say? Because I know with Bitcoin and the banking systems, it collides. There's no working together over there. Do you see a future of them, like banks introducing the cryptocurrencies, or what do you see, or what would you say that like banks would do in the next 5 to 10 years time, due to as cryptocurrency, it rises and it dominates?
I think the bigger thing there will be, most banks, they're scared of the technology, and then that will. I think we're pretty much at a tipping point in the fintech space and banking. So there will be banks that will collapse during this moment, and the new ones will be born, and the others will evolve. So you have banks. I think a lot of banks, their moves will be acquiring a lot of crypto startups to make sure that they will be able to provide those services. And I mean, it's happening everywhere. You see that a lot of big or the good crypto companies are funded by banks, at least in the in the package, but people don't know that, right? And you also have banks that are doing some in-house projects, but the challenge there is that both not be as good as what people can do privately. So I think you're going to have private companies in crypto like Coinbase and so on and so forth becoming banks themselves as well, because you can tell a lot of crypto companies are now issuing coins as well. So there will be a point where I don't really need a traditional bank anymore. Like right now, I can get into crypto, right? I can get a card in crypto with my phone to spend it. So there will be a point where you need the traditional bank for the basic services, right? And then you can also still get land, especially when say Bitcoin is going to be a very interesting time. Because now you can borrow money based on your Bitcoin as collateral, for example, right? So for people who are Bitcoin at that time, who are buying now, it will be a very, very interesting time where they can now borrow money, cash, by using the collateral and spend it however they want. So that's how we see the banking thing will play out. But then bank will jump to companies, they'll buy them, they'll invest in them, and or they'll just create their own.
So, like what you're saying right now, on my perspective, I really think that banks are going to jump onto these opportunities, because banks, basically the way they actually make money is by borrowing money on loans and stuff like that. So if once that market is taken over by the cryptocurrency market, they are definitely going to try and make a way that, okay, we need to start implementing something like this, or a way to actually get into the cryptocurrency market space. So I do feel in the next future, basically, I don't know if I'll still be alive, we'll still be alive to see that, but hopefully one day we're actually going to get to that point. Another thing that I also want to know, because I do not want to take much of your time, is how old were you when you first made your first million?
20 million one.
Your million, let's just say rands.
23.
Wow, that was really early in the game. So at that age, for instance, like okay, you made your first millions. How were you able to actually maintain that status of being a millionaire? Or should I say, like, okay, I have a million, how do I grow this million to my next million?
I mean, let's start with something real here. A million rand is not a million. $1 million, $1 million is $1 million. That's a real million. So the whole thing, million rand, bunch of garbage, I can tell you that. and there's nothing you can do. What can you do? I remember one of my friends wrote an article somewhere about something. So he said, you need to have $12 million net, but at least $2 million that should be. That's when you can be considered. And it's about US dollars.
Yes.
So as far as maintaining, usually people who have never before, they think that you hit it day way up. The millionaire because of the millionaire. I mean, million rand in the million rand. And this is not how it works. So you keep building things, you build your life, money there, and when you do your calculation, you realize that have a few million. But it can be cash, or it can be the own companies and stuff like that, which is the big owning. So I think if you have been to big things, $1 million rand is not a thing. You just keep going what you're doing, and then automatically grow, and they grow faster because you have much more capital, you have more you used to before, and then from there you just grow. You can collapse if you think that you're $1 million rand. You're like, $1 million rand, now you go because if you have $1 million, you're not really a millionaire if you're not doing anything else. Because now, if you're an idiot, you're going to get a car, you're going to buy your mom a house, whatever you not, and then tomorrow you're not. And so, if you're a millionaire flat, if you spend 10 rand on airtime, you're not a millionaire. So.
That's so true. That's so true. So, just before we wrap up, could you just share some content? What advice would you give, or what advice would you share with people that's going to watch this? Like, for instance, they want to get into the cryptocurrency market space, but yet they lack that those resources to actually gain that knowledge. So what advice would you have for those people? Also, touching base on the entrepreneurship side, because I know you are not only just involved in one business. I do consider you as an entrepreneur. What advice would you have for young kids out there that aspire to be like you, or who aspire to take the same path that you actually took at a very young age?
Yeah, look, man, invest more in learning, be more interested in doing and building things, and don't decide yourself. You know, for a lot of us, with I don't know, I'm hearing an echo. I mean, it's side of mine. I can hear my own voice.
I can hear you clearly.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. I think that's a situation why I normally use headsets, because so my voice won't bounce back, but I can hear you clearly on my side.
Okay. Okay. So, for a lot of people that are coming from our environment, you're usually confused with what life success is. You know, you have kind of a very insecure way of thinking about wealth or success in business, or whatever, right? So that makes you think more, because your idea of is obtaining material things, you know, like whether having a car, or you know, that kind of, or buying shoes or some other bullshit like that. And what typically tend to happen is that if you're aiming for 100 million in life, or whatever you're doing, if you're aiming for $100 million, you're more likely to end up with 60 or 70, right? You're never going to get exactly what you aiming for if you're a big dreamer, right? Now, if your whole entire life is just owning certain things, you're going to end up with a bill, or something less than that, or if you actually get what you want and you think you have made it. That's why you have people in the world, you know, they make money and then still stay there, they buy it, and they make more and they think that they're right. This is their own mindset. They're slaves to their own mentality.
True.
Because
it's so true.
Not enough. It's too much to do, you know. You want to have things, you want to have shoes. Your whole mindset is built up on purchasing things, buying things, giving away value, losing money. So I think the faster you can change and become a creator, a builder, a seller, that's when things start to change, because you want your entire life to change. Not just you know. I mean, if you give me a pen right now, I'm still the same guy. I'm more likely to pick it up. I need to learn to earn my way into that. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
Think about change holistically yourself, you know, and think big enough. Learn. We need to look at wealth in a real way. You know, these are the guys that own things we use every day. The people own the houses and the restaurants we go to, right? When you go to the store, you buy the bread, the beans, the canned fish. People that are making those things are rich. Okay, not you just thinking that you get a BMW here. Maybe. Why don't you own the BMW?
That's nicely said, right there. That's nicely said.
You know, you don't think you're afraid. You don't believe in yourself, and then now you're just looking for a cop out. You're insecure, and you're looking for a home. I get that. Maybe the people will now respect me or myself, you know, but it's not the truth, because in the grand scheme of things around the world, at least, nobody can respect you because of some Jordans. Nobody gives a shit, you know. And you also do things at a global level. It's not about South Africa, you're Namibia. You need to forget about this mindset. This is all you know. You need to travel.
Yes.
A little bit of money in traveling, no other countries. Because we were born or in Namibia or in Zimbabwe or wherever, Nigeria, does not mean that that's where life is. Dude. It's a big You know, go around. It's your own stuff. Then do bigger thing. You saying?
Yes, definitely, definitely. Last questions. What would you say makes a good entrepreneur? The qualities that makes a good entrepreneur, or should I say a successful entrepreneur? Like the qualities. What qualities should a person have to be a successful entrepreneur?
I think resilience, original ideas. So I think they're more likely to be successful from what I've seen. And not quitting. But I think most important is successful entrepreneurs. If you study them, they're able to project their odd view to the world, and then let the world identify certain truths and they don't care how you feel about it. They don't put it out until the world is never right. Whereas typically people look for how the world seems to work, and then they justify themselves to the mold to fit in.
Yeah.
So you have to think a good example is Kanye West. That is weird because he's not afraid of who he is.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of weird things that the world eventually that, looking at it from his perspective instead of what kind of sound do people actually like? He makes he wants what he wants. Or if you look at it, it's fashion. Weird fashion.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, what the hell is that? But and then the vision and they follow him. So most entrepreneurs, their principles create the tool. They tell the world what they want. You create an icon, and then we all now transition. This is actually the right way to do it. At the beginning, it was everybody says it's right, but he is the only one who can see. Before his idea he had, and then now we live in this world. We need to be able to challenge the world before and not be scared.
Yes. Great. I really appreciate your time. I do not want to take much more of your time now. It was such a pleasure having you on this live stream, and I really hope people watch this live stream over and over again just to go get all the key aspects that we touched on. And I really hope this live stream or this video would bring a lot of value to people out there. Before we leave, I know you are on social networks, so could you just shout out basically what are your social networks where people can get a hold of you and how they can get a hold of your content?
So on social media, my name is Grey Jabesi. Search me across all platforms. Find me. I typically use the Gret BTC, Grey BTC. But I'm sure if you search my name, find me on there. Just make sure that it's a legitimate platform because I get it as well. My profile typically has if you go through it, you will see a lot of posts about things that I'm doing. I don't invest people. I don't do any sort of investments or anything. So if you see anything like that, you know that it's me. I just money from people and message me first, and so on and so forth. You can see my profile. I share my on there. I'm not saying put money here, get 24 hours. I'm giving out my number and say, hey, that's not me.
Yeah. I think that's a very good thing that you just made clear to people out there, because a lot of people love to make assumptions and they just get it wrong at first, and then after they be like, wow, I actually thought wrong about that guy. He's like the most coolest guy ever, and then from then they start following you. But I just want to thank you for your making time for this interview. Great, and I will see you on the flip side, and thank you very much again for actually making time for this live stream. And I'm sure that a lot of people just want to watch this is gonna gain a whole lot of value from this video. So from me, thank you very much, and I'll see you on the flip side.
No worries, man. Thanks for your time. This has been ready.
So
Cheers.